Well, hello, everyone. This is Natalie McQueen with Your Legacy Stories. Today, we have Miss Char McCreadie as one of our veterans that is going to come on and tell us about her time in the military and share some insight on how she makes the world a better place now. So, welcome, Char.
Thanks, Natalie. So happy to be here. Thank you for the honor of your time.
Yes, thank you. So tell us first of all, let's start with how are you making the world a better place now? What are you doing?
Oh, well, what I do now. So I took all of my experience over my military career and post-military career and just recently figured out how to get it all together in a three-pillar business that really truly focuses on helping people being well inside and out so that we can design and live their dream life. And in a way that I do that through a portal, so it's behind a paywall, to give people access to life at wholesale and below prices, everything in life, whether it's the dog food, the cat food, the child care,
Mm,
movies, the going out to eat, or when you want to vacation or staycation. And we are just building
ooh,
an amazing worldwide community.
that's awesome. And I love watching your trips. You're all over the world, just having fun. So
Yep.
that's a blast. So let's talk about your days in the military and what initially inspired you to serve in the military? Was there a specific person or event that influenced your decision?
It was definitely an event. And it is literally right now, as you ask the question, it's like it was just yesterday. I was in first grade, sitting in my first grade classroom, and we were in a trailer because our community and school was expanding so fast at the time that they couldn't keep up with the expansion of the school for us to have enough classrooms. So I was in a
Okay.
trailer outside the school, and it had five chairs across and it had five columns. And I was literally in the third column in the third seat, staring at the chalkboard. And still to this day, all I can remember is watching the teacher write something on the chalkboard. I still have no idea what it was, as I was getting a divine download about being part of women in the service, going to the United States Air Force Academy, which at that time did
Wow.
not allow women to come into the service. No US Service Academy did at that time. And that I was going to fly planes and or practice medicine. And that is exactly what happened for me. So
Wow.
at age 6 in first grade is when that download came. And by from my conscious memory, I can remember from about sixth grade on that every decision I made about school, extracurricular activities, sports, clubs, even my social life outside was all
Yeah.
focused on whether or not I could use that experience toward being accepted on my application to the military.
Wow. That's incredible to be
Yeah.
that young and know. Um, so obviously it was meant to be a
Divine
divine
appointment
download
for
for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So share a moment from your service that profoundly shaped who you are today.
Hmm. I had several of them. There's two that I'm going to kind of connect and highlight in that. The first one was the very first time I was ever deployed into a wartime environment and had a gun pointed at me, and looking, a few yards away, knowing that I had to make a second decision. It was super fast and felt like a time warp of slow mo all at the same time. I was very young, early in my service, and that shaped everything going forward and really
Yeah.
understanding the commitment that I had stood up to make, so that fast forward many years on the back end, towards the back end of my career, when I was in the Pentagon on 9/11. Uh,
Mm,
that was a day. And we all have
yeah.
a story about where we were, what impacted us. For me, it was a very real hands on, first hand experience of what I saw and experienced that day and the many days, months, and years after there. And that itself and then my total service time. You put those things together, and it very much affects how I show up, my
Yep.
attitude and opinions about things. And my big takeaway in all of it, I mean, there was many more events that contributed as well, is that, life really is a gift. And that's why it's
Yes.
present. And so
Yeah.
to not only to receive the gift, but to live in the present moment to the best of our ability, because that's really all we're guaranteed. So that
You
most
know
people,
that well.
yeah, you're always on the go. You're always, and I'm like, listen, I'm giving 10% because today's all I've got. Yesterday's a canceled check. I've already spent that time. I can't get that back.
Right.
And I might not wake up tomorrow.
Yeah. So we know the whole globe watched that moment, those moments, those hours, so I can't even imagine what it would be like to be in the middle of it and to be there. So, um, were there certain people that you served with that made a huge impact on you and who you are?
Absolutely. I was very, very fortunate. In fact, it's on Facebook today for Veterans Day, being US Veterans Day today. I was so blessed at the very beginning of my career to work with a general officer by the name of Joseph Redden. We called him Joe, General Joe. Unfortunately, he has passed on just recently. And on his team was Senior Master Sergeant Del Ruby. And Del lives not very far from me, where I'm at here in Arizona now. And because of the General Joe's position and the way he led people, he was a Vietnam ace, fighter pilot in Vietnam. He had some of the most incredible interpersonal human skills I had ever encountered up to that point in my life. And I got the privilege to start working for him at 18 years old,
Oh,
right at
wow.
the beginning of my career. And when it came time to transition from being an enlisted cadet at the Air Force Academy to my commission as an officer, and head on eventually to medical school and all kinds of other things that the military had me do, we had to pick an officer that would come commission us and
Mm.
pin on our very first officer rank. And I could have thought of no one better than him. And when I presented the package to him, it was a very time sensitive thing because he was moving assignments 1 year prior to when my scheduled date for commissioning was. And
Oh,
I,
wow.
I was working for him then. And so I had to ask him then, even though it was still about a year out. And that day changed my whole career. He brought me in his office, and in a good leader from my perspective at the time in the service, he very stone cold face, not a lot of emotion. And I thought I was in trouble, like I had forgotten to follow protocol or something. And he sat me down in his, not at his big desk, but at his
Right.
private. And so normally when you're at the private table, things are good. It's not going to
Yeah.
be a bad encounter. But he taught me a lot of lessons that day about courage, asking, saying yes, and having that chutzpah, if you will, to just go after what
Right.
you want. And at the end of that conversation, I was shaking in my boots, literally, for a few minutes. He he told me, he said, he goes, there's just something about you. And he kind of vision casted how he saw me, which
Wow. Oh.
when you're 19, 20 years old and someone pours into you, I was 16 and 3/4 when I joined the service. I graduated high school early, and I achieved my lifelong dream that started at age 6, like we just talked
Wow.
about. And so this was the next step of finding a mentor that saw the next steps for me before I could really see them all. And he really poured into me that day. And he said, remember, he goes, Shar, the only difference between me and you is I've just been in the service longer. I've just had more military experiences, more
Right.
life experience, and you're just getting going. don't change, always go after what you want. And he said, as far as what this package is for, ask my proposition to ask him to commission me, which is a really big deal in the
Yep.
service. He said, listen, he goes, I'm gonna I'm gonna make amendments to this package. He goes, but I'm not charging you anything. He goes, you're not gonna pay for anything. And then he got right up on that table and got right, like I thought he was gonna come nose to nose. He goes, I would be damn proud to commission.
Oh,
And
mm,
fast forward when that all
yeah.
unfolded, he was a 3-star general in line for his 4th star, which is the highest
Wow.
rank in all of the military here. And people around the Air Force were freaking out because how did I have this big time general officer? And I said, I just asked him.
Right.
I learned
Oh,
in that process of watching how he worked with Del Ruby and worked with us and working directly for him, that respecting what someone does as far as if they're senior to you or more experienced is one thing because they've paid their dues. However, we're
sure.
all human, and
Yep.
that human to human respect, duty, honor, we all have to earn from one another.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It was amazing. I'm super grateful to have had him at the beginning of my career, and it was an honor, to kind of walk him into eternity back in February.
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful mentor, right?
Amazing mentor, him and his wife both. I mean, I got to know his wife and everything. It was
Yeah,
very, very, very special. He was a special human being, special soldier for us in the Air Force here.
nice. Yeah, it's so funny because I met you way past that.
Yeah,
So to picture you and some I when you share some of your stories, it's just like I can't even picture that Char, but in a way, how you are such a leader in what you do and you're just so confident and I can see it. Yeah. So we talked about a mentor in the military. Let's ask a legacy question. Who is someone that's really impacted your life? And it doesn't have to be, it could be anyone.
well, there's two people. The
Okay.
first one was my late Italian grandmother, Clara Alducci. Uh,
Does she make some good Italian?
oh, sister, she made all kinds of amazing, amazing, and one, so many valuable lessons again that I didn't
Yeah.
know how I would use them as a young kid, right? Because we don't have a lot of life wisdom and experience yet. But she definitely fostered and supported my sassiness, my chutzpah, going after what I want. But she also taught me the value of accountability and
Okay.
self-discipline just in life and in faith, school, and doing things. And the biggest example, I just laugh now because it's such the opposite in who I am today. Her rule when she would come, she spent a lot of time in our home raising our kids and raising us kids. And as soon as you could stand at the kitchen sink and put the backs of your hands in the bottom of the sink without having to stand on your tippy toes or almost reach
Right.
it, your playing days after homework were done because your butt was in the kitchen.
Uh,
And this tomboy back then was like, I don't want to learn how to cook. I don't care
right.
about girly stuff.
Dishes, smishes.
I'm like,
I want to be
whatever.
outside.
That's for the girls. I am a boy. I'm a tomboy. And fast forward, my very first year in the military was a really rough time personally, and my family. In a 16-month period, we lost 13 family members,
Jeez.
and grandma was one of them. And in that season, I felt like my first year in the service was spent trying to figure out this career that I knew I'd been called to and all that went
Right.
with it, and going to funerals in my dress military uniform. That's all I could
Wow.
remember now. It just felt like it was
Yeah.
the two things. And I was super grateful for that time in the kitchen with her, even though I was so disobedient and just gnarly to her and didn't want to be there and had an attitude and all the things. Because after she was gone and I came back, in my uniform to honor her at our funeral service, I began to ask around the family because nothing was written down.
Oh,
And so amongst all of us, because she taught all of us how to cook. I mean, nieces, nephews, grand,
yeah.
all of her kids, all the things. So amongst a lot of us, we were able to put together the majority of the recipes that we all
Oh,
came.
good.
Because I had a few, and some of my cousins had a few, and an auntie
Yeah.
had a few, that sort of thing.
Oh,
And so lots of family value lessons
right.
from her. And in that same stretch in 1995, I entered entrepreneurship, 94, 95 for the first time. And while I was in the military, just before entering entrepreneurship, I got to work with Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay
Oh,
Cosmetics.
yeah. Nice.
And
She's
she,
something else, isn't she?
oh
I've
my.
heard her speak. Yeah.
And if those of you watching, if you've never read her autobiography, it's not long, but it
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Hilarious.
Yes. You talk about sassy before her time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the two biggest things I learned from her was, first of all, she hand wrote me a personal letter telling me how proud of me she was for
Oh,
joining
wow.
the service and standing up in a man's world, because I was part of literally the first few years of women being allowed to go to the Air Force Academy and
Wow.
serve thereafter, and sent me this huge gift box full of things about her business that I could give to my professors that were using her company as an example. But she also, one of her very best friends, ended up being a mentor for me in my business a few assignments later in the military, that taught me how to embrace my feminine qualities, because back then I
Nice.
was very much living in my masculine. I showed up nothing like I'm showing up today at all. I mean,
With pink hair.
yeah, well, pink hair and hardly wore makeup, and was just really rough around the
Yeah.
edges because I was a soldier first, and I didn't really
Mhm.
understand the
You
female
could
heart,
be both.
the
Yeah.
tenderness, and all of those things. And I'm forever grateful for that connection, because now,
Yeah.
where I'm at now, it's helped me to truly feel good in my feminine energy and showing up as a lady businesswoman who's also a warrior for life and a real life trained warrior from the military.
Nice. So, as a final question, first of all, I want to thank you for your service and thank you for sharing these stories with us. But what is one thing that you want to be remembered for?
Hmm, that's a great question. Um, I think more than anything, I want to be remembered that I gave my best in life and fought for everyone, especially the women of this world that may not have felt like they had the confidence or courage to stand up for themselves yet. Left it all
Awesome.
behind.
You're making me cry. And you know what? You do exactly that. From what I have experienced with you, you are always there for people. You're always willing to step out and stand up for people that don't use their voice and teach people to use their voice. So thank you so much. Now I need to get a Kleenex.
Me too.
But is there any last words that you'd like to share?
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you. I'm honored that you would think of me on this day and to do this series with you. And as I tell everybody, whatever is in your heart, in your soul, it's worth whatever it takes, my friends. Believe it, design it, live it every single day. And if you need someone to help you along the way, call me. That's my most favorite thing to do, is help people do that, because
Nice.
you only get one shot at this thing called life.
That's right. And I will put all your information so people can reach out, follow you, find out where you're going to be the next trip. I know you have something exciting coming up. So you've
Watch
got
my
to follow
socials,
Char.
everyone. Watch my socials.
Exactly. Jump on and follow this amazing lady. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Natalie. I appreciate you. Fly high, everyone.